Howdy folks, Sunny in the South. Hope everybody doing real good. Cornish hens and a pan dressing on the menu this afternoon. This is one of my favorite dishes. It goes together pretty easy and it cooks pretty quick. You get a whole lot more out of it than what you put into it as far as a return on time investment. I got two little Cornish hens here, been in the refrigerator about 2 or 3 hours, just dried skin out so it'll crisp up a little better. We're going to pour some of this Tony Sachere Chicken Marinade down in the cavity so when it cooks, that'll steam off and really perforate and infuse the meat. Don't have that, use some Italian dressing, work pretty good. We'll get some olive oil drizzled on here and season it up with some Paprika poultry magic. Use any dry rub chicken seasoning you got as long as it's salted. I've got some Mrs. Dash unsalted chicken rub we're going to put on there toward the end because that's kind of granulated. It'll burn up on you. A little paprika for color. I got about 8 ounces of store-bought cornbread dressing mix back here. We're going to get us a couple of cups of chicken broth in there with some sage and poultry seasoning just to amp that flavor up a little bit. Of course, you're going to need a little butter in that as well. And we'll put that around these little old Cornish hens when they go in the oven to roast up so it all cook together. When this almost done, we'll whoop us up a real quick little chicken gravy. You're going to need some butter and bouillon chicken base for that. A little flour and butter. You know we're going to do a roux. I got some thyme here too. We're going to stick in the cavities of those little old Cornish hens and some parsley here just to toss in some different things. Let's get to cooking. The first thing we're going to do is get these little old hens here prepped up. And anytime you're fooling with poultry, you really got to be careful on cross-contamination. So what I like to do is left hand is the chicken hand, right hand is everything else. If you're left hand dominant, just switch them up. We're going to drizzle a little bit of this chicken marinade in here. I guess I need to go this way. Work a little easier. Just a little bit, couple of teaspoons. Gonna get us a little olive oil on here. Get on in there. And these little Cornish hens here did not have any giblets in there. If you get ones that got giblets in it, make sure you dig that little giblet pack out. You can use that in that chicken gravy. We're gonna go in here and start seasoning these up with some of this Paprika poultry magic. Just a little paprika on here, just to add to the color contrast as this roasts up. Get these little old legs tied up here. We got to tuck these little old wings underneath, and you're going to end up with 2 chicken hands. But they got to get tucked. That's looking pretty good. And we're going to set this aside here for a few minutes till we get this dressing put together. We're going to get us about 2 cups of chicken broth in here. Half of a box. maybe a little bit more. We're going to put us about 4 tablespoons of butter in there. We're going to get us some dried sage in. I really like sage in a dressing or stuffing. A little poultry seasoning, about the same. I got some of this salt-free onion and herb. This is going to really make his taste extra good. We're going to get a little of that in there. We got to put some pepper on it. We're going to let this come up to a good little simmer. Alright, we got our chicken broth up to a simmer. I'm going to cut the fire off. We're going to get some parsley in here. We're going to pour this over this cornbread stuffing mix. Oh, I tell you what, that's smelling good. Now we start putting this around the chicken. And you do not want to go right up on the chicken because it's going to mess up the cooking with the heat going around the chicken and whatnot. So just don't pile it up around the actual chicken. Just kind of put it there, but not really touching. And what's going to happen is as this chicken cooks, its natural juices are going to release, and it's going to mix with this stuffing mix and make it extra good. And the stuffing mix, because this is going to be cooked uncovered, will evaporate the broth we put in there and concentrate in flavor. It's going to crisp up on the edges a bit and make an outstanding dressing to go with these little old hens. I'm going to spray these with a little bit of olive oil. We got the oven preheating 400. Sprinkle a little pepper on here. And we're going to get these in the oven and let them cook about 50 minutes. And then we'll pull them and probe around, see where they are on temp. And then I'm going to sprinkle some of this Mrs. Dash chicken rub on here. Probably baste it with a little butter. If it starts browning too much on top, we'll put some aluminum foil on it and tin it. We're looking for an internal around 170, 165. Now, you know, breast meat, it tends to really dry out at 165, but the dark meat, it's better when it cooks to about 180. So you just have to find a happy medium. Cook it whatever temperature you want it cooked to, as long as it's at least 165. When we get them out of the oven, we'll set them aside, let them cool off a little bit and get happy, and we'll whip up a little chicken gravy. Let's get these in the oven, and we'll see y'all back shortly. Now, we've been in here about 50 minutes. They looking pretty darn good. That is for sure. Smelling good too. We'll poke around in here and see what we got on some temps. 175, 180, so they are definitely done. We gotta get us a little butter basted on here. Cook. Sprinkles a little Mrs. Dash on here. We're going to pop that back in the oven a few minutes, and then we're going to get this gravy whooped together. We got that chicken broth going in. We're going to get us some butter in here. Do about 2 tablespoons. Get us some flour in here. touch more flour. We're going to turn the fire back on low on this and let that just sit there and sizzle a few minutes. We got to get the butter and bouillon whooped up. Got them out of the oven. That's going to be some good eating right there. Cornish hens, pan stuffing. 2 cups of water. And I'm going to go in with about 2 teaspoons of this wet chicken base. Put some pepper on it. Let's get us some of this onion and herb in here. I think I'm going to put a touch of garlic powder in there too while I'm at it. If you don't have that onion and herb, just use you some garlic powder and some onion powder. Probably a little bit of dry Italian seasoning. Put a little garlic powder in there. I'll let this come up to a good little bubble until it thickens. About 173 right there. I'm just doing a double check. Make sure we are done. I don't eat no raw chicken. 176 there in the dark meat. 180 in the dark meat there. That's going to be real good. It's looking pretty good. A little parsley in here. We're going to have to give that a taste. That's a pretty darn good chicken gravy. I ain't fooling with that at all. We got our dressing over here in a little serving platter. And you can see how we got some nice crispy tips on there. Ooh, boy, I tell you what, that's going to be extra good eating right there. We're going to give this a little try. It's pretty moist in there on that white meat. Oh my goodness. Ooh, that is delicious. Damn. Boy, I tell you what, them seasonings we put on there, shoo, that's extra good. The dark meat's nice and juicy. Let me show you right down here how juicy. Look at this. How juicy that chicken is. Man. That's delicious. And what happens is this stuffing is kind of retaining some moisture down in the bottom of that pan. And it prevents that from drying out too much. That's it, folks. Roasted Cornish hen with a pan dressing and some chicken gravy. Till next time, peace.